Man, this story is pretty wild and obviously very, very sad. Have you guys heard of Anna Buldrini? I hadn't heard of her. Trey, Anna Buldrini?
No, not familiar.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her either, but she's apparently a pretty big influencer. So this is about influencer Anna Buldrini, who died after plastic surgery. And the craziest part is, and this is like in the headline of the article, is that apparently she had surgery just hours after partying with the surgeon the night before. This one's nuts, man. This is just crazy. This did not happen in the United States. Not that crazy things don't happen in the United States.
Is she an influencer from America, though?
She's not.
Okay.
No, she's not. So Anna Buldrini is 31 years old. Sadly, she just got married last month. She's originally from Brazil, but is currently like working out of Mozambique. And she's like a singer. Like I checked out her social. Like she's actually a pretty, it seems like accomplished pop.
She's like relevant.
Yeah, she's not just like an influencer, doing opening videos or whatever, right? Like she actually has, some talent. So singer, model, social media influencer, and she has like 1 million followers.
Yeah.
So she traveled to Istanbul, Turkey.
Got it. Have you seen all those videos about like whenever somebody's going to Turkey and they and like an airline and they take a video and it's all these guys with like hair plugs?
Oh, dude, it's so funny you mentioned that. Somebody was just commenting to me that Turkey is like the big place to go get hair plugs.
Yeah.
I think it was my wife.
It's like like every airline coming and going from Turkey.
Well, Turkey is like the plastic surgery medical tourism place for the Eastern Hemisphere. Like people from Europe go there because it's like where people go to, Mexico or Costa Rica here in the Western Hemisphere.
Right.
Because plastic surgery is dirt cheap over there. But like there's been a lot of warnings coming from various governments like in the EU about like this is dangerous, don't do this.
Right.
So she went to Istanbul, Turkey with her husband to the TUSA, T-U-S-A hospital. And the whole story is bizarre. So first off, she got a deal where she was getting the surgery for free if she would promote it on her Instagram.
Okay.
So I mean, I guess there's nothing crazy about that, but it just is not traditional for sure. So she wanted to get a breast augmentation, liposuction, and a nose job. So she went and she had her consult, I guess on a Friday. And then Saturday, I don't know how this goes down, but she ends up hanging out with the surgeon, her and her husband. And apparently they go partying all night. And I guess during the party session, the surgeon convinces her to come into the clinic on Sunday to get her surgery done because her surgery is initially scheduled for like Tuesday or something. So they go back on Sunday, and the husband's saying that basically they were out almost all night and then came in a few hours later.
Hangovers.
I know, right? All of it sounds bad, really, really bad. So they're out partying with the surgeon. They come in on Sunday. As I said, the husband says there was just a few hours after they got in. Well, here's the weird part. So the news article says that she didn't get out of surgery until 11 p.m. Like, that's crazy. I mean, I'm assuming...
all day? Like, it started in the morning?
I would assume, because if it says that they had the surgery just hours after they were partying, you would assume that the surgery happened on Sunday morning, right? As opposed to, like, late in the day. And so, again, I'm trying to get this from news articles out of Turkey and, the EU and stuff. So 11 p.m., which is bizarre. I mean, breast aug stuff, couple hours, nose job, couple hours, maybe. Liposuction, hour or two. So I don't really know what that was about. The husband also claimed that they didn't make her NPO. So that basically means, when you go to have surgery, you're not supposed to eat anything for at least 8 hours, or longer. Before you have the surgery, because you could risk regurgitating and that getting into your lungs. Yeah, right. So he's claiming that they didn't do that, which would be really, really bizarre. And then, so they came out and they told the husband everything's fine, she's in recovery, you'll be able to come see her like in an hour or something. Well, apparently like multiple hours go by and nothing. And then finally one of the doctors comes out and just says, yeah, your wife is dead. Yeah. Like, that was basically it.
What the heck?
Yeah, so the doctor said that she went into VFib. So VFib is basically where the heart goes into a very dangerous rhythm where the ventricles are just kind of quivering, and so you're not really getting blood. And then she went into cardiac arrest, and then it says that they tried to resuscitate her and were unable to resuscitate her.
Right.
All right, so what happened? I have a pretty good idea of what happened. I mean, these surgeries are not surgeries that should potentially be life-threatening at all. I mean, breast augmentation, I mean, it would be insane for someone from the surgery itself. Now, anesthesia is always a potential risk,
right.
And we've had patients we talked about that died from breast augmentation, but it's usually anesthesia issues. Like
right.
they're trying to do them under local anesthesia and they get too much, lidocaine or whatever. But the surgery itself should have a 0% risk of death. Nose jobs, basically the same. I mean, they're just not surgeries where there's big blood vessels or critical structures close by that really could be, injured. Anesthesia complication, I mean, that's always a possibility. However, they said that she went to recovery in good condition, so that would usually preclude an anesthesia issue. Liposuction, we've talked about liposuction and how it can be deadly where, people's organs get stabbed.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a possibility. I would say...
Where was she getting liposuction? Like in her stomach?
It didn't say where.
Oh.
We're going to talk about whether or not she had these surgeries in a minute. I would say that the most likely patient that's going to get a severe injury from lipo would be a heavier patient, not a skinnier one. It's easier to lose your way when people are really thick. And so I'd say it's probably not that, but I did some investigating, and I'm pretty sure I know what happened. So throw up that first picture of her. It should be a side-by-side tray of her face. Yeah. So see those circles on her cheeks? Those are the classic circles for somebody that's getting fat grafting. Those are not tattoos. She does have face tattoos, but those two circles are not face tattoos. Because I looked at her Instagram, and that's her in the surgery place, like
right before she's about to.
Right before she's about to go back. Yeah.
So she was getting fat put into her face?
Yes, that's a thing. And so if she was getting fat grafting, then
instead of like other people would get
use fillers. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, because cheek fillers are a big thing. They're actually really, really nice. And one alternative is to do fat grafting. I'm not a huge fan of fat grafting in the face. Like I don't like fat grafting a ton. I do it from time to time, but with the downsides, like I'm just not a huge fan. But one of the risks of fat grafting, as we all know from discussing BBLs, is if you get fat into your bloodstream, it is very, very high risk of death. And the way that you die is you go into cardiovascular collapse, which is exactly what happened to her. So they didn't mention fat grafting, but those circles are one, that's an area where you would get fat grafting. You see there's some even along her jawline.
Yeah.
So my guess is that she got a fat embolism. That's far and away the most likely thing, because it just all makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, really sad story, and we'll kind of reflect on maybe some of the warning signs. I was curious about why she was getting these surgeries. I mean, liposuction, throw up that first pic tray. This girl is like super fit. I don't know where they were planning to get fat off of her. I mean, I looked at a bunch of photos, and she is fit. Now, she's kind of muscular, so, she's not rail thin, but there is not really any fat on her.
Yeah.
Another reason why I don't think it was just liposuction for liposuction, I think that they were trying to harvest fat to graft it.
Right.
And so then that also makes sense. And then, what's the next one? Her breasts. Like, she doesn't need she already has, those are implants. Maybe those views aren't the best, but she has the classic telltale sign of having implants. Which means she probably was having implant revision. They just said breast augmentation, but I would assume that she was having an implant revision. And then nose job, I think I do pictures of her nose up there. I think her nose looks great.
Yeah, why would she need a nose job?
I don't know. She's somebody that I definitely would have tried to talk out of like most of the procedures. Now, if she has some issue with her implants and she needs them swapped, that's a totally different story.
She's probably trying to make it more like a swoop.
Maybe. I don't know. I looked at her nose and I was like, man, I wouldn't touch her nose. Because, when people have like something that looks really good, I'm very hesitant to try to do surgery to make it better because, you could end up it not being different or it being worse.
Yeah.
So I definitely question like the decision tree. And I don't want to put it on her because, I mean, yeah, you might say she should know better, but it's on the surgeon to talk people out of doing stuff that's bad. So, I mean, there's a lot of warning signs in here. I do not like medical tourism. One thing that's noteworthy is they did not mention the doctor. They only mentioned the facility, which means that she went to a facility instead of a doctor itself, which is a bad idea. I hate those places where it's like it's a corporation and you're going and they just kind of fill in the surgeon with whoever, because you don't know who your surgeon is.
Right. It's not like you're going to McDonald's and you're going to consistently get the same product.
Cook. Yeah, exactly, right? And so I just think that there's a much higher risk of bad outcomes when people go to a place where they're not going to a particular surgeon, because you don't have that ability to do your research and make sure that, are they certified? Do they have good results? I mean, you're just showing up and they hand you a surgeon and who knows who they are.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of warnings out of Turkey. I mean, I would never go to Turkey for anything personally. I mean, not for surgery. Because these stories from there are very, very common. And then the part where they went and partied with the surgeon all night before and then did surgery and then they changed the date. I mean, there's just so many bad things about this story.
That sounds so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I get it that she's an influencer and maybe the surgeon was like, oh, let's go have a drink, and then it kind of devolved into partying all night. But don't do that the night before you're supposed to go have surgery. And why did they change it anyway? I mean, the whole story is bizarre. I'm sure there's probably going to be more come out of it.
This is gonna sound really silly, but I'm I feel like one of them was on some type of stimulant to be yeah, let's go do your surgery.
maybe it was
the doctor or something was
maybe it was a decision made at a bad time,
did more than just drinking, and that's why he was let's get it done now.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I just don't know how they open this. I guess the surgery center or the surgery place runs 7 days a week or something. Who knows? I don't know how things run in Turkey. Here in the United States, you won't go to a hospital to get surgery like that. You go to a surgery center. But this thing said hospital, which sometimes surgery centers will have the name hospital after them. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's a really sad story. I mean, there's definitely a lot of warning signs there that, probably would have been hopefully signs that maybe you should tap the brakes. But
that's scary.
Yeah, it didn't happen. And it's really sad. It just got married and, it's crazy.